Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for May 18th, 2016. Today's Wednesday. Right at the top we have FOMC minutes later on in the session, so it could be rather quiet as we head into the afternoon. Once that occurs, we could see some volatility that enters the market, and perhaps we could see a nice swing move over the next week ahead. So right now what we're looking at is, again, this micro composite profile that has built out over here on to the left. We can see that value for it is 2049 quarter. You can see the larger HVN here, and that composite VPOC is 2061 quarter, and prices have been contracting, basically trading the tighter range around that HVN. And what I've mentioned before is that there's no real edge around this area. No real edge. You're seeing a lot of chop, a lot of whipsaw action back and forth. I think the edge is still at the outer edges of the range. So if price gets up here toward the high or low, that's an opportunity to fade it back to value. Right now, obviously, a lot more development, but when price kind of contracts in this manner, it tells you that it's ready to widen the range or see full-on expansion. So we have some potential nice movement coming, but right now, very difficult to discern any great trading ideas based off of the current daily chart, at least. Now, if we take a look at the intraday time frame, there is a nice range to work with on the intraday time frame. We had a major sell-off in the previous session. Right here, 2060 was an important level. We mentioned in the trading room, right when we were getting off for the day, that hey, this 2060 right here is an area where bears want to defend, and that could send us downward toward our target of 2049s. And price pushed well through that area and got all the way back toward the previous week's low. And then right now it's bouncing on between the previous week's low and the previous week's close, forming a little distribution down here. So right now what you can see is price has formed a very clear trading range down on these lows. That's something to watch today. That range is a perfect range, perhaps heading into the FOMC minutes. So right here you can see the top end of the range. Here's the bottom end. So fade new highs back down, fade new lows back up. That could be the early game. Any acceptance back above this 2048 here opens the door to returning prices back toward 2060. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. Here's crude oil in the daily time frame, a very nice continuation to the upside, and we have now reached our 49.08 target and the 25% monthly expansion target at 49.33. So this is a target we've been looking for now for about 5 weeks. Ever since price rallied into this area, I mentioned look for weakness off that zone back toward the midpoint or perhaps as low as the bottom of the range. But look to defend that area for a continuation into 49.08. So we've had 49.08 on the books for a very long time, ever since the middle of April. And so now we've come along, we've pushed and hit that target. We knew that any pullback in the 43.85 to 44s was going to be defended. We also suspected that it wouldn't be a perfect bounce and reversal, that price would try to hold below it. Bears would come in and get absorbed, and then you'd see a big time run at the stops. So very nice, higher value relationship, the whole nine. This was just a fantastic move right to our target. 49.08 reached now. And the other thing to keep in mind is we are still in an uptrend. So as I mentioned before, the previous month's high, previous week's close, that 46.76 to 46.89 zone still is a very great area of support here to defend for a continuation to the next LVN above the HVN, which is 51s. So if you look at the back end of this range here, this key range right there, 36.60 to 43.85 suggests a 100% expansion move into 51.10. So we still have some confluence to the upside. We've reached our primary target, and now the expectation would be for the next rotation downward to be defended and then see a continuation to 51.10. Very, very solid movement so far. With regards to an intraday idea here, let's take a look at the RT chart. One thing you'll notice here, significant selling pressure once 49.08 was reached. So right there, right off the bat, you're seeing significant rejection here. Not just once, but 3 times. Here's 1, 2, 3 times. Price traded beyond the 50% day expansion target, 49s, and was rejected back, and back. So right now we're already seeing signs of weakness, and we could see a pullback ahead. So after reaching 49.08, we're now back at the previous session's close. That's going to be an important level right now. If we see a bounce off that zone, you see this LVN that was left behind here. That LVN is very important. I think any bounce into that zone could offer a selling opportunity for continuation. We have 47.88 as the primary bear target on the day, should these levels remain intact. So we could be looking at more weakness back toward 47.88 and perhaps back into the previous session's low, 47.66. So keep an eye on that, as this is a significant rejection. Overall, on a swing basis, pullback could be a buying opportunity. Let's take a look at gold. Here's a look at gold. This is, I've talked about it before. This is a rodeo here, and you're the bull rider. Right now, the market is just throwing you back and forth, and that's a tough trade. It really is. You know, I haven't really done anything in gold to speak of in quite a while, just because of the fact that the personality of this market has changed dramatically. While I do believe that we remain in an upward trend, you know, the risk is getting much, much higher right now of attempting to hold toward those targets until something, you know, something new happens. Because right now we're just in a range and there's a lot of back and forth. The personality is quite a bit different than when we were actively engaged in this market and we were seeing much more fluid price activity. You know, the way we had a great saucer pattern that formed over here, the way that pullbacks were defended right where they should. Pullbacks after expansion were defended perfectly. You know, blow off tops leading to digestion. All of those things was perfect market structure, but since then the market structure has just broken down, and that's a tough trade. So if you don't have to trade this one, you can stand aside. But if you do have some lower risk opportunities here that you're trading based off of gold, I still believe that there's still more upside ahead. But 1282s has been a point of rejection for a short term. So 1282s is where bears are defending first shot at pulling this thing back toward value. Above 1282 opens the trade back up and for the trading range. But I think right now it's a tough trade. It really is, and it could be all waiting on FOMC minutes. So that could be something this afternoon that sparks some movement out of this range. On the NQ, a clear little trading range that's developed here, 4,300, basically all the way up to 4,400. Rejection down below that level was seen down into 4270s. But really, this one again could be a wait and see type pattern as we head into the FOMC minutes. A lot of back and forth activity. You can see here a distribution above and a distribution below, 4,400 being the pivot. So I expect more distribution here until the next phase of expansion, either down or back into the previous distribution. Right now, a lot of trading range activity is likely to persist, especially heading into the minutes. Let's take a look at the intraday time frame. Here is a nice tightly coiled range, very similar to the ES. 43.08, 43.30. I would say today is a fade new highs, fade new lows type of day. So if price pushes out, look to fade it back down. If price pushes back down, look for rejection and fade it back up. That could be the early trade as we head into the afternoon. Keep in mind also, crude oil is on the verge of rolling over to the July contract, so we could be flipping from the M to the N contract very, very soon, if not already. All right, let's see how this thing plays out the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and happy Wednesday.